And we are pleased to welcome Professor Bonaventura Ruperti, Professor of Japanese Language and Japanese Performing Arts in the Department of Asian and North African Studies at Foscari University of Venice. His research focuses on the Japanese performing arts in pre-modern Japan, but also in modernity. And today, he will be giving a speech called Food Culture and Traditional Performing Arts in Japan. So, Professor Ruperti, thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have a presentation I share with you. Culture of food. The culture of foods, as well as the performing arts, are at the roots of civilization in Japan as in Italy. In Japan, gods are offering of rice or other cereals, foods from the sea and the mountains, drink, sake, as well as flower in ritual with the difference according to the tradition of each sanctuary and geographical areas. At the same time, the performing arts, poetry, music, dance are also important in the rituals, which are dedicated to the divinities and to all the audience on the occasion of rites and festival. The rituals with offering and the arts, song, music, dance have the function of recalling the divinities and its protection and energy to propitiate the harvest and prosperity, and thank, entertain the divinities and communicate with them. In this report, I will discuss food and drink, which are the basis of civilization and nutrition in Japan in connection with traditional theater, from No to Kyogen, to the puppet theater, Ningyojoro di Bunraku, and Kabuki, in which in the pre-modern period, many of the food, dishes, and the habits that are still practiced today are codified, and from which new fashion and system of consumption in the culture of food are also launched. Among the offering to the deities in the rituals of the sanctuaries, an important place is assigned to rice, kome, and sake. Just like bread and wine are the radical components of the Italian table and culture, both individual and collective, with both religion and secular meaning. In the sacred ceremonial dances of Okina, which are the basis of the performing arts of Sarugaku and the prerogative of the actor of No, the character of Senzai, a young man, emphasizes and implores the abundance of water and the waterfall that in fact allow the cultivation of rice. This is Senzai. The water from the mountains and also the waterfalls is a vital principle, and its purity and abundance is a guarantee of life, in particular of the rice shoots in. Needless to say that the purity and lightness of water, not only in the cultivation of rice, but in its preparation as a cooking dish, as well as in preparation of sake or in preparation of tea, is a basic requirement. As in Italian cuisine, the preparation of Japanese cuisine places emphasis on the quality of the ingredients, which, due to simplicity, is crucial. As in the preparation of tea, sencha, matcha, or other, this is made only of light water, non-sui. For the sake, the preparation is made from fermented rice and water, whose quality is guaranteed that over ice of a superfine product for fragrance and taste. Sake made with water, rice, water, and koji, in addition to being an indispensable element in rituals, is also the absolute protagonist not only of rites, but also of banquets, parties, symposium, together with poetry, song, music, and dance. In this form, that is, in banquets or parties, it makes its appearance in the repertoire of the no theater. Sake and music and dance are preliminary ingredients for a pleasant and warm meeting between people and between lovers, as happened in Senju. Senju is the last farewell between a young man who is going to die and a dancer who spends an evening with him with music, dance, and sake. In the no drama Kantan, a young man, Rosei, in the time of a dream, spent his day of glory, held a big banquet with the dance of a child and with the sake of immortality and longevity. Sake can also be a metaphor or instrument of the coveted sake of the immortality and longevity, a long life elixir is symbolized by the dew liquor of chrysanthemums, a flower that express the wish for long life, as we can see in Makura Jido. Drinking sake or a substitute for it, together is also a toast of good luck, good wishes for future hope, as is in Shunkan. Or drinking sake together is like a form of recognition of the other, a manifestation of esteem, a sharing that brings rivals or enemies closer together, a pact between men of honor who respect each other, as in the ending of Ataka. But sake is also an instrument of seduction and perdition, as it clothes the sense and led to the loss of supernatural powers of the hermit in Ikkaku Sennin. Through sake and pleasant banquets, deception occur in the dimension of the seduction of the dream that in reality hides terrible demons, as in Momijigari. But sake is also an auspicious drink, an object of limitless passions and amusement for men, fantastic animals, and demons. In shoujo, a mysterious creature enters the scene. He is a liquor-loving fairy who lives in the water. Sojo spirits appear from the water and dance innocently while being drunk and floating. And we pass to Kyogen. However, the meaning and value of the invincible pleasure associated with sake, with wine, is celebrated in a comic sense in the Kyogen, humorous theatrical genre that is traditional combined with no. In Obagasake, or in Boshibari, the servant Taraukaja or his companion Jiro, for example, he cannot resist the temptation of sake, and he is protagonist of many episodes in which, due to his passion for sake, he makes trouble. In Hinosake, or in Chidori, tea culture. Another drink that entered Japan by Buddhist monks has extreme medicinal and magical importance. That is the tea. The Kyogen Tsuen, even if in a parodic form, testifies to a great success and popularity enjoyed and still enjoyed by the great tea gathering that characterized the medieval era, giving life to a very refined aesthetic culture around the consumption of tea, the environments, the tools, the room, the context, the garden, and the ingredients. In fact, Kyogen Tsuen is a parody with the exaggeration and hyperbole typical of the Kyogen of the no drama Yorimasa. And we have at Uji also a shop with the name of Tsuen. Food and other delicacies. But also foods is a precious subject for humor and comedy, in particular natural and non-natural products and ingredients that the object of desire for the greedy people, such as fruits, kaki, persimmon, or sweets, kaki yamabushi, or busu. In Busso, the Lord orders the servant Taro and Jiro to stay away and goes out with caution because there is a deadly poison called Busu, a poisoning drug. The servant have no choice but to worry about Busu. Not resisting their curiosity, they try to lick and discover that it is sugar, sato, mizuame. In fact, it was during the Edo period that industrial sugar production became widespread in Japan. Before that, in Japan, sugar was a valuable item that really of imports. It was in Edo period that the foundation of Japanese cuisine, as many of us know today, were formed. The combination of 3 meals a day, a staple food, side dish, and miso soup was made in the Edo period. In Osaka, restaurant and shidashiya are established. In the Edo period, the number of tradesmen who built their fortune increased, and the hobbies of haikai spread among the tradesmen who gained social status. From around the middle of the Edo period, Cha Kaiseki, and Haiseki Ryori was collectively called Kaiseki Ryori, and it became a well-established name for fine cuisine. Nowadays, the dishes served as at the tea ceremony and the fine banquet dishes served at the steak table often belongs to the category of kaiseki. Okay. The world of public theaters and culture of consumption. The Edo period is known as an era when the culture and the art of the common people flourished and laid the foundation for traditional performing arts such as Ningyo Joruri and Kabuki. Among the entertainments for the common people of the town, with the increasing urban development, in particular Kyoto, Osaka, Edo, there were Kabuki theater, Ningyo Joruri, Kogyo, Sumo, Ukiyo-e, and book rental for the masses. Around the theater playhouse, there were a lot of shops for the audience, Shibai Chaya, Kinchakuya, Kashiya, tobacco shops, and others. The theater Chaya, Shibai Chaya, Shibai Chaya of the Edo period were located near the playhouse where guests came to eat and drink before going to the theater, called reserve an audience seat for the play, be guided and entertained with food and drink such as sweet, sake, and meals. In this special context, where the most diverse audience can enjoy the show during the day, that Makunouchi Bento was born. This is a reproduction of Makunouchi Bento. And this is Makunouchi Bento still today. Makunouchi Bento, the contents of Makunouchi Bento lunchbox today are a 7-inch jubako with rice bowl and several types of side dish, okazu, nigiri, meshi, tamagoyaki, kamaboko, konnyaku, nimono no konnyaku, yakidofu, satoimo, kampyo, yakizakana, agezamono, nimono, tsukemono, tsukudani, and others. It's said that it was sold as a Makunouchi lunch in the latter half of the Edo period. It has a deep connection with Kabuki as a bento that was born with the development of play culture, but there are very theories on the origin of the name. With the development of railways, Makunouchi Bento became the current style as the prototype of Ekiben. Sukeroku Zushi. Among the Kabuki repertory, there is a very famous drama still performed today, Sukeroku Yukari no Edo Zakura. Inspired by this drama with its protagonist, Sukeroku and his beloved courtesan Agemaki, a sushi lunchbox was created to eat on the occasion of this show, to be served during the performance. So Sukeroku Zushi was born. Taking the name of Sukeroku, it's a set of fried sushi, inari sushi, and makimono, Thus, in fact, in the composition of the lunchbox, the Makimono recall the figure of Sukeroku, and the Inari Zushi instead suggest Sukeroku lovers, agemaki. In the drama, Sukeroku enters the scene with a purple headband. This figure was imagined to transpose it in the sea with the rolls, norimaki. As the same of Sukeroku lover is agemaki, name that may recall fried rolls, the Inari Zushi made with fried tofu was linked to her image. This means that Sukeroku Zushi is a kind of mitate. Mitate is a device, is an imaginative technique that is frequently used also in Japanese cuisine, both for the shape of individual dishes, sweets, desserts, and other, and for the general presentation of course or table set. Holidays and seasons. In the drama Sukeroku is also famous among the best known of kabuki for the gorgeousness of the costumes, inspired by the showy aesthetics of the pleasure district of Yoshiwara. In particular, the uchikake, which is worn by agemaki, are decorated with the flower of 4 seasons of Japan and pattern of festival wishing for no illness. This uchikake is based on the motif of the first festival of the year, Shogatsu, and pen pattern with motif of design and decoration of the fabrics that recall the Hinamatsuri Doll Festival or Momonosekku. Japanese cuisine in the use of ingredients is linked to seasonality, but also to the auspicious value. This is particularly strong in the case of festivities like Osechiriori. But for example, the atmosphere of autumn festivity is also evoked in a drama for puppet theater, Futatsu Chokuru wa Nikki, at the house of Dan Yohei in the Yawata village. Ohaya, the bride of Yohei, and Oko, his mother, are preparing for the moon viewing with the offering of Tsukimi Dango and Suzuki. But in this situation of serenity, a dramatic note arises. In this case, iconical foods not only evokes the image of autumn, but are also deeply involved in the story development and are indispensable for the play. Kabuki and soba, representation of eating on stage. Around Genroku era, the staple food of the common people of Edo was not gemai, but white rice. Hakumai became popular as it is today. The cuisine of people has become richer, and there are shops and stalls that come to sell various foods that are still familiar today, such as chameshi, tempura, sushi, narizushi, norimaki, udon, amazake, satsumaimo, dango, tokoro, ten. Later, not only food stalls, but also restaurants that serve meals such as tendon and unadon. Among the foods that show a link with kabuki, there is certainly the soba. Soba have a very ancient history in Japan, but is in the Edo period that they begin to be prepared, cooked, and consumed in the form similar to today, sobakiri. In early period, Nihachi soba will also be born. Nihachi soba are soba noodle buckwheat noodles made with a ratio of udon flour and buckwheat flour of 2 to 8. And this is a legendary link between the revenge of Akoroshi, represented by the famous drama Kanade Honchu Shingura, and the soba. In chronicle and historical reconstruction of much later, there is a story about the gathering of the 47 Ronin on the second floor of a soba restaurant before the assault to carry out revenge. As we can see in this image, Nihachi soba. But there is also a famous kabuki scene, Yuki no Yube Iria no Azemichi, in this drama, Kumonie Mago Ueno no Hatsuana, which is set in a soba shop, Nihachi soba. This is one of the most impressive scenes in a very winter-like landscape. And Neno, now samurai, who must leave Edo because he is pursued by justice, struggle forward and slips into soba shops where he will not order a cup of soba while having a drink with hot sake. We can see the image of now samurai. It and Nihachi soba. In Ningyo Joruri, cooking and preparing food are very important. As an important consistent part of the kabuki repertoire was originally conceived and performed for puppet theater, which had a remarkable artistic development in Osaka. We can see the puppet. So we can see scene in which the puppets play musical instrument or dance, smoke with the pipe or cook, and this scene have a great impact on the audience. In fact, in Japanese cuisine, the mastering the mastery of the cook is not only in cooking the ingredients, but also just cutting on the cutting board, vegetable, fish on the other, is a moment of fundamental dexterity, and if a puppet performs the performance is even more appealing and impressive. We can see in Nozakimura on Shou Sushi Asagao Nikki. In Nozakimura, Omitsu, the protagonist, happy to be able to get married to Hisamatsu, prepares to eat cutting vegetables. In Shou Sushi Asagao Nikki, there is a humorous scene where a funny physician, Hagino Yusen, handling to see ceremony. Furthermore, in Meboku Sendai Hagi, the so-called chain of Mamataki by the nurse Masaoka is very exciting. Masaoka cooks rice in a teapot chagama using a tea utensil for the son of his lord, Tsurikiyo, and her own son, Senmatsu, who are hungry. It's therefore a long chain of waiting and apparent calm, but with the preparation of the rice, mama cooking, but at the same time of great tension and ends with great tragedy. Last scene we can see in puppet drama and in kabuki. Travel and regional cuisine, Kyodo Ryori. In another atmosphere of among puppet drama Yoshitsune Senbonzakura, there is a scene titled Sushiya no Dan. In search of Taira no Koremori, who lost in the Genpei War and went missing, his wife and son arrive at this sushi restaurant called Sturube Sushi Yasuke. There, Koremori was working under the name of Yasuke. The stage is at the foot of Mountain Yoshino, a sushi restaurant in the region of Yamato. There are many sushi taps that play an important role in the drama at the storefront. Nigiri sushi were the mainstream in Edo, but oshizushi were common in the Kamigata, and this is the original shape of sushi. The original sushi is made by putting rice and fish in a tub and fermenting it to make sushi. The existing Tsurube sushi yase is still existing. Is said to have been in business for 800 years. The owner called himself Yasuke for generation. Both in puppet theater and kabuki, as well as in more ancient No and Kyogen, the story are set in localities and areas of the country that have particular characteristic and the local colors, also in the food, which is also manifested in the dramas. In fact, Japan, like Italy, has an extraordinary variety of different ingredients, sea and land, mountain or river, and therefore vegetable that give life to rich and varied local cuisine. Japan has obtained the recognition of Japanese cuisine or traditional food culture as intangible cultural heritage by UNESCO. In fact, just as in Italian cuisine, there are characteristics that have become uniform on a national level, but there remain differences and peculiarities at the local level, which constitutes its richness. And as well as Italian cuisine, in Japanese cuisine, there are many variations, of which that of Kyoto, special and refined in the form of kaiseki, is one among many varieties. The variety of regional or local cuisines starts from the climate, the atmosphere, the environment, the special ingredients, the processes from quality and accuracy of agriculture products and foods with the protected designation of origin, and ultimately from the culture that flourished in this place and of which the people who live are proudly witness. In Italy, we have over 500 varieties of wines, while in France about 20, only 20 prevails. We have over 180 varieties of top table grapes, over 500 olive cultivars, over 600 varieties of cheese, and also the variety of vegetables from tomatoes to aubergines, legumes, fruits, etc., with a very high number of IGP, DOC, DOP, DOCG, as no other country in the European Union. And is it so with respect for nature and biodiversity that our culture of food and cuisine in Japan as in Italy will continue to be appreciated by us and by others in the world, a world we want to preserve today as in the past. ご清聴ありがとうございました。大変長い話になりました。Thank you very much for your attention and my very long, too long presentation.
Thank you very much, Professor Ruperti, for your speech that underlined the importance of Japanese traditional arts and food. Thank you very much for sharing your remarkable research.
I don't know if you're taking questions, if there is time for questions. If not, I will ask him later. But yes, yeah, just about mitate. I mean, thank you, Professor Ruperti, with a rich overview of about the presence and the use of food in Japanese performing arts. My question is a bit specific. 見立てについてもう少し聞きたいんですけれども、日本料理にと関係ある見立て、like the relationship between, I mean, how 見立て is used, you said, in cuisine, Japanese dishes and table settings. You were talking about the kabuki play Sukeroku, Agemaki's costume, and もう少しなんかそれについて聞きたいんですけれども。
見立てについて少ししか話してませんけれども、出て、you see the presentation?
Yeah.
Yes. 見立てについて少ししか話してませんけれども、スケロク寿司ですね。スケロク寿司の場合は、巻物はスケロクのことを表しています。頭に巻いてある紫の鉢巻きを表しているものとして巻物を選んだんです。のり巻きにしました。そして揚げ巻きという人物を、これは油揚げみたいなの、揚げ豆腐みたいなものを使っていなり寿司を作ってるんですけれども、これはスケロクを表しているもので、こちらは揚げ巻きを表しているものです。一つは、細かく言えば、巻物の場合はスケロクのこういう鉢巻きを表しているようなものですけれども、これは紫、江戸紫になっていますけれども、巻物の場合は海苔になりますね。ですからこの場合は、見立てとしては見た目の、からヒントを得て鉢巻きを今度料理につけましたということになってますけれども、 いなり寿司の場合は、揚げ巻きの名前からヒントを得て、揚げ巻きという名前は、揚げた巻物という感じになりますから、やはり揚げ巻きを表すために、揚げたこういういなり寿司にしました。
はいはいはい。
そこからヒントを得た、弁当ですね。でも、普通、日本の見立ては主に和菓子、食べ物、甘いもの、和菓子の中ではよく使われているものであって、必ずしも全くそれと同じような形のものではなくて、やはり、想像させるような感じですね。例えば桜だったら春を表すものとしては、桜の、花の形をした、お菓子は、和菓子は一番当たり前の見立てになるわけですけれども、でも色だけでその春という季節を表す、花見というものを表すということもありますし、テーマ一つ与えたら、京都の和菓子屋さんは特別にあつらえで和菓子を作ってくれるそうです。
ありがとうござ
例え
います。
ば私たちはそのような、
はい、すいません。
そのようなこともあります。でもお寿司へ行きますと、例えば船の形した、作り物とか、そういうものもありますし、いろんな形のものは、日本でもあり得る場面で見かけられるものですね。はい。それ一つと、そして衣装ですね。衣装、揚げ巻きの衣装はこちらですね。これはやはり上に着ている打ち掛けですけれども、これは主にお正月ですね。でも、揚げ巻きの衣装は五節句の、いろんなデザインで五節句というものを表しているみたいですね。やはり五節句に必ず食べ物のつながっていましたので、お正月は七草がゆ。桃の節句の場合は十日酒、桃の花のお酒ですね。そして、それとも白酒ですね。で、そして5月の節句はあやめとちまき、今は主に柏餅ですね。そして、七夕の場合はそうめん、夏の食べ物ですね。そして9月だと菊酒という必ず食べ物もつながっていたんですけれども、一緒の場合は、やはりこの場合はお正月の門松のような衣装で、やはり松と、竹と、いろんな模様入ってますけれども、これは七夕のお祭り表しているんですね。で、こちらだと桃の節句、やはり桜と、これは雅楽の格好を表しているものですね。このような感じです。お答えになったかどうかは分かりませんが、ご質問ありがとうございました。
どうもありがとうございます。すごく面白い。
申し訳ございませんでした。
ありがとうございます。Thank you very much.
発言してよろしいですか？
どなたでしょうか？
総領事の雨宮です。
すいません。総領事雨宮総領事ありがとうございます。
I had better speak Japanese.
日本語の
Okay. Anyway,
スムーズに出てくるわ。
And for
ありがとうございます。
For the information for other participants, Professor Ruperti was conferred decoration Order of the Rising Sun last spring for his contribution to the promoting the Japanese studies, especially in Japanese literature and Japanese theater. Unfortunately, I could not deliver in person this medal order to him due to the pandemic, coronavirus pandemic. I'm looking forward to see him soon and deliver it. And having said that, I heard very carefully the detailed explanation, very detailed explanation about the food, culture, and the traditional performance art in Japan, on which I've never read and heard before. You are more Japanese than me, unfortunately. And having said that, my
ありがとうございます。ありがとう。
one question, very simple. Are there same kind of studies on Italian cuisine in the traditional performance art? You understand me?
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
はい、多分日本語で返事させていただきますけれども、オペラの場合はよく食事とかパーティーとか、もちろん観客もオペラを鑑賞しながら、感激しながらいろいろ楽しんでいたようですけれども、食べ物も楽しんで、お酒も楽しんでいたんですけれども、でも舞台の中の上でも、やはりいろんな宴会というものとか、それとも主演というようなものはたくさん出ているはずですね。オペラの世界では、やはりお祭りと演劇との関係は、やはり深いもので、交流がかなりあったと思いますので、やはりそういう日本ほどではないでしょうけれども、かなりそういう場面もありますね。まあ、モーツァルトのもちろんそうですね、オペラの中でもそういう場面がありますね。ドン・ジョバンニなんかにはパーティーのような場面がありますし、他のオペラの中でもたくさんあります。
はい、ありがとうございま
よろ
す。
しくお願いいたします。すいません、ありがとうございます。
ちょっと追加させてください。文化会館の西林です。ルペルティ先生、素晴らしい講演ありがとうございました。
いや、
もうenlighten me very much 僕の知らないことがたくさんあります。オペラについて私はもうクラシックミュージック、オペラファンなんで、
詳しいですよね。
例えばトスカの2幕ね、私あそこでトスカはカバラドッシをご飯食べてるそのナイフを使って殺すわけですよね。
そうですね。出しますからね。
もう今急に思い出しました。もういろんなところに、あとはラトラビアータの最初はブリンディス、乾杯の歌ですよね。たくさんありますね。もう食事ばっかり出てくる。
たくさんあります。
どうもごめんなさい。もうオペラファンとして一言
結
果します。
確かにね、オペラもたくさんありますから、本当に。
ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much. So for the ones who do not understand Japanese, what just happened is that Mr. Nishibayashi is very expert about opera, and Mr. Professor Ruperti is an expert of Japanese traditional arts, and they were exchanging opinions on these two very broad themes. What is the role of food and how they are linked to food. Thank you very much. It was very interesting. And Mrs. Elena?
はい、聞こえますか？ルペティ先生に質問がありますか？
ありがとう。
はい、すみません。なんか、はい、少し質問があります。先生は、前に、マークのうちの弁当について話していました。その弁当は、フードプロデューサーなら、こののパフォーマンスが広告の仕様があると思いますか？広告の仕様、アドバタイズメントのような。
広告の仕様ということは
アドバタイズメントのような使い方かな。
使い方、
はい。
それはあるかもしれませんね。やはり最初は どういう形で生まれたかちょっとわからないんですけれども、やはり芝居茶屋を通して裕福なお客さん、観客が席の予約をして、とてもいい席、桟敷席というところに座って、あそこで楽しみながらご飯も食べたりして、いろいろ楽しみながら舞台を観劇するという形になっていましたけれども、でそのお客さんには特別に、芝居茶屋からお弁当ではなくて食事ですね、食事を運ぶという形になってたと思いますけれども、でその場合はもっと豪華な感じの食事だったと思いますが、その徐々にもっと簡略した形で運びやすい芝居茶屋の中で出方という人たちがいて、今の仕出しといいますね、やはりお出前として食べ物を配達するという人たちが観客に売ったりしてたと思います。でもやはり舞台観劇の時ではなくて他の場面でも、お弁当を食べるという形になって、徐々にその消費というか使用が広くなったと思います。
はい、ありがとうございました。
舞台の宣伝にもなっていたと思います。もしかしたらそうですね、スケロク寿司のように、やっぱり舞台からヒントを得て、もうほとんど食べ物は季節からヒントを得て、その季節の材料を整えて、バランスの取れたお弁当を用意してたと思います。食事を用意してたと思いますが、現在でもそうですけれども、今は一年中あるものはいつでも食べられるので、そこまでなってないんですが、昔は多分その季節しか取れないものを選んで、お弁当の中に揃えてたわけですが、もしかしたらそうですね、スケロク寿司のように、宣伝、舞台の宣伝、歌舞伎の宣伝にもそういうのを作っていた、用意してたかもしれないですね。使ってたかもしれないですね。舞台を宣伝するために看板もあるし、でもやっぱり芝居茶屋専用の料理というものがあって、それは一つの、そうですね、宣伝とのつながり方もあったかもしれない、つながりもあったかもしれないですね。とてもいい発想ですね。私はあまりそこまで。でも、商売となると確かにね、スケロク寿司が生まれたということなので、他には、舞台からヒントを得て作ったものはあるかもしれないですね。
はい、ありがとうございました。
はい、いい質問ありがとうございます。
はい。
Thank you very much for your questions. And again, briefly, she just asked about the promotional function of Shibai Chaya, which is the play tea house. And well, originally it was not supposed to have this kind of promotional function, and it was just supposed to deliver food to the spectators of the stages. But after Tsukeroku Zushi, this promotional function seems to have increased.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I remember that in the small stadium, there's a kind of chaya, the same as the kabuki. And these chaya are in charge of delivering food for the spectators. This is what I remember. And when I was a child, I went to the small stadium together with my mother several times, and I remember. So recently, I have never seen it at the stadium, but there is a chaya. Chaya is very well associated with the small wrestling. This is what I remember. And let me just add, Ruperti Sensei, I'm very sorry that you try to remember the Mozart opera, and I just remember the end of the Don Giovanni. This is the sort of the scene of the entertaining the dead soldier or the military person, and invited, but all of a sudden the not wooden stone sculpture came out came to the stage and Don Giovanni go down to the hell.
Yes.
This is the end, but he entertained, he tried to invite that person to the dinner. This is the ending of the Don Giovanni.
Yeah,
So
indeed.
probably you wanted to mention that. Okay, I'm very sorry that I remember my favorite opera, Don Giovanni.
Don Giovanni.
Okay. So I would like to thank all the participants today. It has been a very, very, very meaningful day for all of us, and yesterday as well. And thank you for your kind participation. And we would like to invite you to join us again tomorrow morning at 10. We will be starting with Professor Nakabasa Michieko and Michihata Fumi that will talk to us about acculturation and rediscovery in Japanese food culture. I really hope to see you all tomorrow morning, and thank you again for your participation. And once again, please fill the questionnaire for the Japanese consulate. It's going to be for their internal use. And thank you again. It has been a pleasure to have you all here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Grazie,
Thank you.
much.